Alright, so I was taking a trip down memory lane and I had some good memories that came out of the DS and the DSi. Looking back on it, both consoles were truly one of the most unique and innovative consoles of all times. Like, Nintendo definitely was inside the lab cooking when they came up with this thing. I don't know or heard of a single person who think this console was mid. I mean, how could you? The DS and all its variations did almost everything right. And it's actually insane that they did all this on a handheld. So you know, for this video, I kinda just want to talk about the DS. Let's talk about the game catalog. The DS had a game for just about everybody. Not only that, but so many iconic video game series debuted on the DS. Now be honest with yourselves, everybody knows about Nintendogs and Cooking Mama. And if you're an RPG fan like me, the DS was flooded with those. Who remembers Dragon Ball Z Attack of the Saiyans? That's a classic right there. You can't forget about the Pokemon games either, home to my favorite generations, Gen 4. It even had some underrated gems, like one of my personal favorites, The World Ends With You. That game is a different type of experience you can't feel anywhere else, and all the other parts of the game just doesn't give the same feeling like the OG does. Now, we can't talk about the DS without talking about the main man Mario. I think Mario had some of his best games on the DS. New Super Mario Bros. Was a banger. Mario Kart DS is my favorite game in the kart series, and Super Mario 64 DS is one of the most unique remakes I've ever seen. I don't even think I could call it a remake because it is so drastically different. And we can't even forget that the DS was home to the first Mario and Sonic crossover. Heck, there's so many games to cover I can't even show them all love. Rhythm Heaven and Professor Layton were fan favorites. The Kirby games on the DS were amazing, and don't get me started on The Legend of Zelda. Anyway, it's time to move on or I'll be talking all day about DS games. So let's talk about one of the coolest features I've seen for a console. The download play. Download play feature was so golden. Being able to play multiplayer with a friend without owning a game cartridge of your own was one of the coolest things of that time period. Not to mention the multiplayer modes of a lot of those games were so memorable. New Super Mario Bros. And Mario Kart DS ended friendships. You just had to be there. Switching gears real quick, who remembers the degeneracy of PictoChat? If you had a DS, then you definitely used PictoChat at some point. Heck, it was so iconic they even put it in Smash Brothers as a stage. The amount of atrocities that people have drawn in that app, my friends included, has to be studied. However, there were some people who just drew absolute masterpieces in that app. Those were the real heroes. It's so hard to explain why PictoChat was fun. You just had to be there. Now before I end off the video, I have to talk about what I think is one of the best features of the DSi in particular, and I'm sure it will unlock a core memory for some of you. Flipnote Studio. Flipnote Studio was an enigma in terms of popularity because although I've never heard people talk about it, I spent hours on it, and the community on Flipnote was undying. I don't think I've seen a community as dedicated to their craft like Flipnote. Now for those who don't even know what Flipnote is, as the name suggests, it allows you to make Flipnote style animations. What made this app special is the fact that you could share these animations online. Flipnote was where you could find some of the most creative and iconic animations of the early 2010s. If you ever saw this animation, then know it came from Flipnote. Flipnote came with some of the most craziest fight scenes I've ever seen, and it was all made with a DS and a stylus. If you grew up with stick fights, then there was no different here. Heck, people even found out how to make sprite animations on a DS. If you're like me, you grew up on sprite animations. Super Mario Bros. Z was one of the pillars of the sprite animation community. So giving people the ability to animate something in that era, especially sprites, meant that everybody was going to make something inspired by that series. Flipnote was just another way for people to make AMVs with fight scenes. If you thought Flipnote was a way to escape Linkin Park AMVs back then, think again because you're gonna find like 5,000 more. Flipnote was basically an amalgamation of mid-2000s and early 2010s pop culture on a handheld console. I'll be completely honest, this one app was the main reason why I wanted to make this video. It absolutely boggles my mind how Nintendo absolutely dropped the ball when they added this app to the Nintendo 3DS. But yeah, the DS and the DSi were some of the best handheld systems to ever be created. I can safely say that there hasn't been a handheld console so versatile as them, and I want to know what you guys think. Let me know some of your favorite memories from the DS. And that's it from me. Have a nice day, and I'll hopefully catch you later.